6th video lecture, Miss Chowny. Today is July 15. It's a Friday, no? And this is a continuation of my lecture on the Constitution and other laws, no? So yesterday we talked about rule of law, no? The rule of law. When we talk of the rule of law, again, what's this rule of law? It's a principle in governance which says that all laws in our country should be enforced, no? Should be enforced impartially, no? Meaning to say that it should be applied to all, no? It should be applied to all, whether you are rich or poor, whether you are a man or a woman, in applicable cases, whether you are a Catholic, a Iglesia ni Cristo, or a born-again Christian, basta it has to be applied impartially, no? Or laws have to be adjudicated independently, have to be adjudicated, meaning lilitisin, no? So lilitisin independently, no? It has to be decided by a court or a tribunal, independently. Of course, how do we enforce the law? No? Of course, when we enforce the law, all laws, when you enforce that, it should be through the government. Should be through the government. So we talk about the government machinery. No? When we talk of the government machinery, the government machinery, the government, no? Government machinery, no? Or the government, no? The government machinery, or what we call the bureaucracy, no? Bureaucracy. No? When we talk of the bureaucracy, we're talking about the government. Why do we call it a bureaucracy? Well, because it is a system of there is a existing system of structure, no? There is a structure, no? When we talk of the structure, of course we talk about something that is superior and it goes down to the inferior, no? Of course it cannot be that the structure will be equal, because we have our superior, then we have the something that is inferior, no? So when we talk of a structure, we talk about a hierarchy, no? Hierarchy, no? Mayroong nasa taas, pababa, pababa, pababa. So what we have here in our government, we have the president. But before we proceed to the discussion of the bureaucracy, of course, what do you think is the nature, or how do you characterize our society? Or how do you characterize Philippine society? No? The Philippine society is both a what? Republican and also democratic. So here, our society is both a Republican and democratic. That's why we have what we call a democratic republic. No? Democratic republic. Our country, the Philippines, is called a democratic republic. No? Because we follow the republican setup, and also we embrace democracy. That's why it's called a democratic republic. Now, what do you understand by a republican state? No? Here po na. Republican state. Or first, ito muna, democratic. What do you understand that the Philippines is a democratic state? Why, Miss Johnny? Well, because the most powerful sovereignty, no, the most powerful sovereignty resides in sino? In the people. No? So the most powerful are the people themselves. Diba? Democratic state or democratic republic, because sovereignty resides in the people. Why are the people in a democratic state powerful? Miss Johnny, why are we powerful as a people? Because we have the right of suffrage. No? What's the right of suffrage again? The right to vote. So if we have this right, well, we can elect or we can put the people whom we like to govern us, no, as a country. No? This one, what makes the people very powerful? Because of the right of suffrage. And this one is the right to vote. No? Nasa sayo, no, ang pagboto ng the right candidate. That's why sovereignty resides in the people, no? Democratic state. And also our society is also a what? Republican state. That's why a democratic republic na sinasabi. What do you understand by our state being Republican? Well, when we talk of a Republican state, it means that we are being represented. We are represented by who? By the people whom we voted. No? Because we cannot govern. All of us will have to govern the government. That will be chaotic. No? That will be disorganized. We are represented by the people we elected. No? In short, we follow the governance of representation. No? We do not directly manage the government. It's the people whom we have elected who will govern us, and that is the principle of a Republican, or that is the characteristic of a Republican state. No? We are being represented by the people whom we have elected. The people whom we have elected. So, it is the president, the vice president, the senators who, of course, will govern us. Here, so you know now what is a democratic republic? Democratic because we are the most powerful, the people are the most powerful, sovereignty resides in the people, and it is republican because the manner by which we are governed will be, we abdicate our rights and give it to the people whom we have elected to man the government. Now the Philippines is also what we call the UPB. No? What is the UPB? Well, it's also a unitary state. Unitary because there is only one government, no? And there is a central government that emanates the power. No? There is the central government that wherein we put everything there in the central government. And this one, in our case, it's the Malacanang. No, unitary, only one unit, only one government, central. We put everything in our central government. There is a central government that decentralizes. No? It, what do you call this? It gives the power down below. No? Decentralizes or decentralization. Now it is also a presidential form of government. This time I'm now talking of the form of government that we have. No, UPB, unitary government. Then P would be presidential. Why presidential? Well, because the head of state is the president. No? He is the chief executive of the government. The president. The chief executive. No? And then of course B would stand for bureaucratic. No? I am now characterizing the kind of government that we have. Why bureaucratic? Well, I told you earlier that there is a hierarchy. No? There is a system of structure. No? System of structure. No? Meaning, we have the one at the top would be the superior, and then down below would be the inferior ones. We have the what we call the rank and file. We are governed by the rank and file. No, rank and file meaning my boss, my immediate boss, may supervisor, gano'n. Then down below would be the rank and file, yung pinakamababa. So, if we need to characterize our society, Philippine society, we need to characterize Philippine society as what? It's a democratic republic. No? It's a democratic republic. And how do we characterize our government? Well, of course, UPB. No? Unitary. There's only one. We give that to the central government. No? Power emanates from the central government, presidential, because we are, the head of the state is the president, and bureaucratic because we are governed by a system of structure. Clear? So far? Now here, in our government, the government is composed of what we call the three major branches. No? We have the three major branches of government, all of which are co-equal. No? Meaning, no one is more powerful than the other. No? Because they are interdependent. So the three major branches of our government, which is also described in our Constitution, if you read the Constitution, three major branches of government. So what do we have here? Well, first we have the legislative branch. I think you have studied this before, Miss Johnny, no? In NSTP before. So then we have the executive branch, and then the third would be what we call judicial. No? So we take this one by one. Legislative branch, it's the law-making body of our country. Diba, Ms. Johnny? It's the law, sila yung gumagawa ng batas. Law-making body. Law-making body of our country. And when we talk of law-making body, they are the ones who make the laws or enact the laws. And here it's a two-chamber. It's a two-chamber, what we call Congress. No? We call the legislative branch as Congress. No? It's a two-chamber, meaning that we have the upper chamber, and then we have the lower chamber. So what is the upper chamber? We call that the Senate of the Philippines. No? And the lower chamber is what we call the House of Representatives. No? Two-chamber Congress, meaning laws should pass both. No? Both chambers. No? You cannot do away with one over the other, and then we will explain that later on. No? The second major branch is what we call the, Ms. Johnny, where the president is and his cabinet. We call that the executive branch. No? Executive branch of our government. And the executive branch, of course, at the top would be whom we have elected as the president. No? And then down below him would be the VP or vice president. Diba? These are elected directly by the people. And of course here, the chief executive is the president. Here he is aided or helped by what we call his cabinet. No? He has his cabinet. The cabinet is actually the executive departments. No? Department of Justice, Department of Tourism, Department of Education, those are what we call the cabinet. And they help the government or they help the president carry out his functions in accordance with their particular area of specialization. Here, Johnny. And the third branch would be what? The judicial or judiciary. No? Judiciary or judicial branch of government. And when we talk of judicial, of course, we are talking about the courts. No? And the highest court in our country is what we call, Miss Johnny, what do we call the highest court in our country? We call that the Supreme Court. Supreme Court. And then down below, would be the Court of Appeals. No? And then down below we have the RTC, or Regional Trial Court, and so on and so forth. Diba? And when we talk of the courts or the judicial branch of our government, we are talking about the body that interprets the law. No? Interprets. They are the ones that interprets the law. The laws enacted by Congress. So this is also the third major branch of our government. Mind you, I repeat again, so what are the three major branches of our government again? Ms. Johnny, the first is what we call the legislative branch of the legislative branch, which is the law-making body. No? Law-making body. Law-making body of our government. Second is the executive branch. Executive branch, and this branch is the law enforcing body. Law, they enforce the law. Law enforcing body. No, they enforce the law. They implement the law. The executive branch. And then third, the judicial branch of government. Judicial branch. And what's the judicial branch again? They are the law interpreting. Law interpreting body. No? Mind you, Ms. Jody, all these branches of government, these three, are what we call co-equal. No one is more powerful than the other because they are co-equal. No? Meaning, the executive branch cannot encroach or cannot interfere with the affairs of the judicial or legislative branch. Neither can it interfere nor meddle with the affairs of the judicial branch. Magko-concentrate lang siya doon sa discharge of its responsibilities in the law enforcement. No? Executive. Neither can the legislative interfere with the affairs of the executive branch because they are co-equal. No? And this brings me to what the... No? There's another principle in law which we call the, what's that principle, Ms. Jolie? When we talk of no one can interfere, separation of powers. No? Meaning, it limits the concentration of power in any of the three major branches because they will just have to carry out their duties and responsibilities in accordance with their area of jurisdiction, in accordance with their area of jurisdiction. It limits their power to their area of jurisdiction only. No? So there is what we call separation of powers. No? So no major branch is powerful than the other because there is the separation, the principle of the separation of powers. I think I have to stop here because I have to give you your assignment in the meantime. No? So here is your assignment, Miss Jolie, for today. What are what we call, no, constitutional commissions. So what are constitutional commissions? No? And then give examples of constitutional commissions. No? Give examples of constitutional commissions, and when you give examples, give me 3 constitutional commissions and state their duties and responsibilities. No? Number 2. So that's number 1. No? I will write it down for clarity, no? So that you will understand. So what are constitutional commissions? No? What are constitutional commissions? No? Give me 3 examples of constitutional commissions, and then you have to state their duties and responsibilities. No? what are, number 2 is, what are GOCCs? No? What are GOCCs? Government owned and or controlled corporations. So what are these? Give me also about 5 examples, no, of GOCCs. Here 3 examples only, but you need to state their duties and responsibilities. No? Then thirdly are, when I say CCs, constitutional commissions, are CCs and GOCCs part of government bureaucracy? Are these 2 part of government bureaucracy? Explain why or why not. No? I repeat, number 3 are constitutional commissions and government owned and or controlled corporations part of Philippine bureaucracy. Why or why not? I think that is all for today. Thank you.